Welcome back, everyone. New School Sensei. So I'm your host, Lance Douglas. My twin brother. We're looking very similar today, Ken. So we got Ken Douglas in the house.
Hoodies.
We've got this. Have we got the same hoodie?
No, you got the new one. I got the old one.
Ken's got the old twins. I got the new twins. Topic we're going to be riffing through and running through. Very, very topical at the moment. And Ken is an absolute expert. He's telling me before the podcast, absolute expert. We're going to be talking through AI and the future of martial arts coaching. As we know, AI it's taken over a lot of different industries. You know, it's taken over, you could think, taken over finance. In a way, it's taken over teaching. People are, cheating on essays, all that type of thing. Can AI take over our martial arts coaching job? Initial thoughts, Ken. What are the things that are running through your head just initially?
No way, Jose. Unless AI can turn itself into a robot and physically teach the kids, I doubt it, to be honest. The things that we do on the mats, it's all physical, yeah? Teaching students, building confidence in kids, self-defense. I don't think AI's got a chance against me and you, Lance.
And I reckon even if AI, if we could produce a robot that could teach a class, to get the robot to display those human qualities, like, being able to, sure, the robot could correct technique, but would the student actually listen? Like I feel like anyone can correct technique. Anyone can show display, concepts and principles, but it's actually the values you have as a coach, being able to connect with the student. And as you always say, Ken, the key to connecting with the student is showing that you care. And it's going to be very hard for a robot to show they care about the students.
100%, especially if somehow we can get robots that look like us, they can behave like us, I feel like people still be able to tell that they're a robot, that they're not the real deal. Yeah.
Definitely. It's even like, I know I've used ChatGPT and you put some stuff through ChatGPT and the words that come out, of course, they sound good. They're technically correct, grammatically correct. It makes sense, but it just lacks that human feel. Even though it's sometimes hard to pinpoint, but you just know that it's not 100% right and it's not really human. And I think part of, we're lucky as coaches. I don't think AI, robots, I think our job's always going to be there.
The only way that I could see that our job not being there is if they created a pill that could give kids confidence and self-defense. And then we'd be out of a job. Because I bet you if a parent could pass their kid a pill that could give them all that, there'd be a bunch of them that'll do it. It's a lot easier.
I think they probably already have pills for confidence, but not for self-defense.
Some like Matrix pill, yeah.
And then the pill, you would become dependent on it. So if you didn't have the pill, like say if there was a shortage, what are you going to fall back onto?
That's true. We're getting into some shi-fi. We're getting the sci-fi realm, Lance. It's my favorite. Me and Lance grew up with a lot of sci-fi. And they're right, Lance.
Love. I think we grew up watching, probably the listeners think we're pretty nerdy, but Stargate, Star Trek, all those types of things.
We didn't get into Star Wars for some reason.
We never got into Star Wars. Yeah, kids
Dad didn't like it.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
So getting back on topic. So I guess the future of martial arts, we have AI, and AI does make our lives easier. It makes it a lot more convenient, and we can get answers a lot quicker. So gone are the days, me and Ken will probably show an age. Like I can remember when the internet was just starting. Like, you remember that dial-up internet, Ken, we had?
Yeah. And it used to cost like 25 cents, 50 cents every time. And they're right, Lance. Remember that noise? You'd dial up. Bedong, bong, bong, bong.
Bong, bong, bong.
Yeah.
So just getting access to information is just so easy today. And my worry is that the kids growing up, they don't know what struggle is. It's all well and good for people like me and you, Ken. We grew up, I still remember encyclopedias, like going to the library, looking through an encyclopedia, or our dad, he'd print off like, a 20-page document explaining why there's like dew on the grass. Do you remember that one, Ken?
I actually do remember that one. Yeah. Old mate loved it, didn't he?
Those days are long gone, and I'm just worried that kids, they're not struggling as much. What are your thoughts, Ken?
uh, that is a big topic, to be honest. There are kids that do struggle, like they're just born into the struggle. You know what I mean? Like born in different countries. So that's easy to say for us here.
Let's generalize for our, inner west students. They're living in Newport Williamstown. The median house price is 2 mil. I reckon 50% of our parents would have holiday houses. The kids are eating, organic strawberries, whatever. So let's just generalize for our population.
Yeah. I'd probably say you are right then if you don't account for people with special needs and all that sort of stuff. I think definitely because, yeah, food's fast. You don't have to worry about food. Entertainment's fast too. You got Netflix. You can switch TV shows. Don't have to watch any ads these days. Even like playing games and video games and stuff like that. I remember back in the day, we were limited by our computer. There were some games that we couldn't actually run properly. But now it seems like even your phone can run every single game. So I think you are right there. You've definitely got something there.
There's something about when there's a little bit of scarcity of resources or information, it makes you value it more. And then if there's an element of you have to work for, gaining that information, you grow from it as a person. So an example could be like, I remember back in the day for assignments, you'd have a blank page. And I remember in high school, Ken, there was no laptops.
No, yeah.
There was
We
no
didn't have
laptops.
laptops.
So for the younger listeners, we literally had a blank page, a pen, and then we just had to write. And like, I reckon maybe a lot of kids nowadays might find that really intimidating because to actually, start writing, you got nothing, and then you have to generate something in your brain and then put it onto the paper. That's hard.
We had to go to the library, yeah, Lance?
We had to go to the library, yeah. Like it was, but the thing is, like, you tend to remember those moments more, and the knowledge you gain through that process, you remember it a lot more too. So
I think
it also
oh, sorry,
yep.
You go for it, bro.
Yeah, so it also gives you a sense of when you find another thing that's hard, you've got that experience in your brain. You've already done it before. So maybe, last night I spent the time writing my essay. Next week at school, we got 2 assignments. Poof, they're due in a week. But I've already got the knowledge. Okay, I know I can write. I just got to do it a bit quicker.
Do you think also there's more knowledge around, especially for parents, so they know that probably most of the things that parents used to do back in the day are probably not 100% right. So the parents these days, they're trying to do the right thing, but they're making it too easy for the kids. So it's gone the other way.
That's really interesting. Yeah, you do see it. You got a lot of helicopter parents. No disrespect to parents. Like, to be honest, I probably do that with my son. Even this morning, like I helped him put his bag on, helped him put his shoes on. So it's coming out of love. But it does seem like whenever, we go too far one way, we tend to go too far the other way. I think that's a trait of just people in general. And ideally, if we could bring it back to the center. So obviously we don't want to make life too hard for the kids because then they'll just won't get motivated. And you don't want to make it too easy because then it'll be, they're not going to be able to persevere when things get tough. So finding that middle point, that's the art of parenting and the art of coaching. So just getting it just right.
And I definitely think the way to make your kids struggle, but in a positive way, is putting them into sport. That's going to be the ultimate test for them. Your holiday house isn't going to help you if your instructor tells you 2-minute bridge or plank hold, like putting them in sport, something where they have to compete versus another human being, one-on-one, team sports, even individually compete against yourself. That's perfect for kids. A safe environment to actually practice struggling, because if you struggle now, it's going to be a lot better as you get older. Because like if you've been, you've been spoon-fed your entire life. As soon as you're 18, 19, 20, get out there in the real world, it's a lot different. As soon as you face your first struggle, you might fall over. We definitely don't want that for the kids, do we, Lance?
It's interesting how you said get into the real world, because with sport, with the rules of sport, it's very real. Like, say if we're playing soccer, I kick the ball. If I miss, I miss. If I kick the ball, it goes in. It goes in. There's no subjectivity. It is what it is. I feel like that's the beauty of sport. And when kids are kind of not forced, but the rules essentially say that they have to reach a certain outcome. If it's hard, then they've got to find a way through it. They've got to persevere and struggle. And then going back to your previous point, sport, I guess, is one of the best ways to safely help our kids struggle. I know back in the day, this is, I guess, 50 to 100 years ago, life was just intrinsically hard because I guess there was a lot of war. Like, if you live in a war-torn country, or if there's war as a threat to your survival, then you just have to adapt. Like, you can't, if there's a war going on and maybe you're out of food, you can't really complain. You just have to move on. But today, obviously, especially in Australia, our life is very cushioned, very convenient. So sport, great, safe way to help our kids struggle. I was reading some other stuff, like things like, I know you've talked to me about it, particularly when kids get older, when they're 18, taking a gap year and traveling, especially if it's solo travel. As we know, because we've done a lot of solo travel, if you travel alone, different culture, there's going to be different problems you're going to face than what you normally would. And sometimes you can't just rely on mum and dad, because they might be a 20-hour plane ride away.
100%. Especially back in the day, the phone calls, you had to pay for the phone calls, yeah? International phone calls are expensive.
I remember we had to get the phone card. You had to put money on the phone card.
Everything, mate. And they charge you by the minute, pretty much, yeah?
Yeah. I remember when we traveled to, well, Ken and I are lucky, we did a lot of travel together. But remember we went to Singapore, and then we checked out of the hostel, and then we went to an Indian joint, and we got violent food poisoning.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things you have to find a way around. And do you remember what we ended up doing, Ken?
We ended up just, because we'd checked out of the hostel, yeah? So luckily they had like some sort of like rooftop setup, but it was boiling in Singapore. So we're on the rooftop, almost like sunbaking. We're just sweating it out, yeah? But I think it was the best thing for us.
If you can picture it,
worked.
the listeners, you guys can picture it. So me and Cam, we got bad food poisoning. We went with our mate. We actually just randomly met a 3rd degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Rodrigo Teixeira. So shout out if he's listening. And so he took us to this Indian place. Looked great. Food was tasty. The only issue was the food had been, I guess, it was stale. It wasn't warm.
Probably had peanuts in it,
yeah. Me and Ken, yeah, people putting their hands in it. This was in Little India in Singapore. Of course, me and Ken, our guts weren't used to it. We ended up getting bad food poisoning, and we had no other option. We went upstairs. We had to kill time. We had to kill it was probably 6, 7, 8 hours, Ken?
Yeah, it was probably something like that.
All
definitely.
we wanted to do was sleep. But then, so all we had was we went upstairs, up to the rooftop, put our bags down, and literally it was like a sauna. And I think that was the best thing for us. Had a nap on that roof, woke up a couple of hours later, and we're feeling good to go.
Yeah, 100%.
That's kind of one of those stories where there is a little bit of struggle, and we can work through it. Let's just, I guess, to cap it off, Ken. So getting back to the main topic, coaching, our future as coaches with AI. So it's going to make things such as communication skills, absolutely vital as a coach. The other thing is being able to connect and show that you care about the students. And one of our coaches, Aaron Marshall, he's the master at it. His ability to connect with the students and just for him, he doesn't show that he cares. He legitimately cares. Like I can see it. That means that when we're looking to hire coaches in the future, technical skills, knowledge of martial arts, they're important. But I think communication skills, connection skills, just being able to socialize, they're going to be way, way more important.
100%. I agree with you.
And
Do you
even
think
the
there's any
parents,
ways
it's going to
that...
be...
Oh, sorry, bro. I think I'm chopping a little bit of the internet. So sorry, listeners at home. Do you think there's any ways that AI will help us martial art coaches, Lance?
Probably, I think from a business side, it can streamline a lot of the repetitive tasks that we do. On the mats, I feel like AI might make you worse as a coach. Yeah, because if you're a new coach and say you come up with a problem, you type it into AI and get the solution. For us back in the day, we had a problem. We had to just use trial and error and figure it out. But the good thing is with trial and error, we learn what not to do and what to do. And we learn what advice is good advice, what advice is not good advice. Whereas the younger guys today, they take that AI information as gospel, like that line between like just an opinion and expertise. It's blurred completely. So they might be a little bit gullible. Like AI spits out an answer and they just run with it. And then if it doesn't work, like what's new coach going to do? What, go back to AI and look for another answer? So I reckon AI, like for any new coaches, don't worry about AI for any of your coaching questions. Learn all your coaching knowledge, learn it on the mats and from experienced coaches.
How about if you want to do like a lesson plan, bro? I'm sure you could ask ChatGPT to give you a lesson plan and then you could just give it a few tweaks here and there.
I think that's only good if you have the experience of coaching. For a new coach, if they ask for a lesson plan off ChatGPT, like sure they've got a good lesson plan, but they haven't learned anything. So they might not be able to replicate it. Or they might not know why it works. Because all well and good to have a good lesson plan, but it's actually, for me, it's more important to know why it works and why it wouldn't work.
Something we should have probably prepared is we should have asked it already to give us a lesson plan and then we could have picked it apart. How
That's
fast
actually
you?
a great idea.
How fast are you loading up ChatGPT, Lance?
Oof, okay, you keep talking. I'll find some. I'll boot it up right now.
All right. Maybe if you want to teach someone how to actually use it, Lance, you want to talk through the things you're doing?
Bang, bang. So I'm in ChatGPT. Let's say, what problem would you have, Ken?
So let's just say I need to teach a 30-minute class for a group of 5 and 6-year-olds, and I want to teach them karate, how to punch and kick. So if you can give me a lesson plan.
Yep.
So Lance is just typing that out right now. It's very interesting to see what ChatGPT spits out, and then we can critique it. See how fast it is.
Okay, let's have a look. I've done it. I've literally just put in the prompts you told me. It's very generic. Like, obviously, the more prompts you put in, the better the answer you'll get. Let's have a look. Let's run through this lesson plan. Okay, it's actually pretty decent, to be honest. It's
Do you want
pretty
to talk
decent.
it through, Lance? Because this is a podcast.
Yeah, I'll run it through. So it's going through lesson plan, 5 and 6-year-olds. So welcome and mat etiquette. So bow onto the mat, greet the instructor. Quick reminder of dojo rules. Fun warm-up for 5 minutes. Next bit would be some stretching and mobility. Next bit would be basic karate techniques for 10 minutes. Next part would be some sort of karate game, bit of pad work, and then just an ending, just a cool down and closing. Interesting. Technically, the lesson plan is pretty good, but my worry is a new coach will then just try and implement that straight away And because they don't have the experience, they won't be able to adapt it.
100%. I
Because
think,
as you know,
yeah, I think it is probably too broad. Like it said, 10 minutes for technique and stuff like that. But that's the secret sauce. If you just go jab, cross, hook for 10 minutes with a bunch of 5 and 6-year-olds, that's the most boring 10 minutes that they'll ever do. Yeah, Lance. So the secret sauce is, what are they doing in that technique bit? What are they doing in the pad work bit? If things go wrong, how are you changing things up? What's your plan B? So that'd be interesting to see. Obviously, we haven't got time in this podcast to keep giving it prompts, but this is where a more experienced coach, you could prompt it. You can say, okay, that technique bit, I want 3 drills. I want them super fun, but I also want some backup drills too, which is interesting. Yeah, Lance?
I guess, yeah, if you're an experienced coach, you can definitely make AI work for you. But if you're a new coach, let's learn the old school way, learn from experience and learn from experienced coaches. Get that right. Get your first 1,000 classes under your belt. Then I feel like you have earned the right to use ChatGPT to get the quick answer. It's almost like in jiu-jitsu, like would you want a day one white belt straight onto BJ Fanatics?
Nah, no way. Waste of money for them.
Probably not. You'd rather them, spend a year, learn in class, learn from the higher belts. I feel like once you get a couple of stripes, you've earned your right to go on BJ Fanatics.
Usa. That's it.
Boom. That's been a great topic. Coaches listening, don't worry, our jobs are safe, very safe. Even if robots try to take our jobs, I doubt they're going to have the human qualities that we have. And if they do, we're in a lot of trouble. Awesome chat, Ken. Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next podcast. Oos.